you.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you saw the title of this video, then you kind of already know what it's going to be about. I am in Virginia right now, and at my mother-in-law's house, and we're getting really close to the end of our IVF procedure, our IVF journey. And I realized as I was documenting everything, I didn't really do an introduction video of how we got here. So yeah, this is what this video is going to be about. So as we go through this video, I ask that you guys bear with me because I've never really talked about my experience with infertility, especially not so publicly. So yeah, I'm still a little nervous and kind of like anxious, but as this video goes on, I feel like I'll relax a little bit. So why did I want to make something so private so public right now? Well, that's one of the reasons. It's because it was a little too private. I never told anybody about my miscarriages except my mom and my mother-in-law. So no one really knew. Everyone kind of just assumed that I either just didn't want kids or everybody had their own opinion. So I never wanted to correct anybody because infertility wasn't something that was talked about. It wasn't something that I ever heard growing up, and nor did I ever see it. I've heard about miscarriages, yes, but I've never heard about somebody not being able to have a child naturally. So I felt very alone in this experience. Like I was probably the only woman that was going through this. And the reason why I say that is because on my social media, all of my friends and people that I've worked with or people that I've gone to school with were having babies, and I wasn't. And they were not having babies early on. There were some of them that were already, in their mid-20s having kids, and I still wasn't having any. So the things that go through your mind and the things that you feel are, again, no one talks about. There's this thing called depression, and never knew what that was or what that even felt like. So as I'm going on with my life, I'm carrying this thing called depression with me and kind of just packing on everything over it so it doesn't reach the surface, but eventually, it comes out. So I hope that makes sense. But so I was just going on with life, and I felt angry at the world. I was really mad, and I was kind of bitter, so ashamed because I felt like I was the only one that was going through this or had this issue, and really just really alone in the process. So that's my whole intention for this video is to let women know that you're not alone in this process. There are so many women who are going through this just as much as you. We've been through it together, and so that's exactly what I want this video to be about, is something for the women out there who feel alone and feel like you're worthless or not, and you feel a little ashamed of not being able to bear children. And I don't want you to feel alone. I really don't. I wish that I would have done more research and looked for support and not kept my situation so private, because then I would have had someone to reach out to and someone to give me their experiences and how to look at the world in a better light. So the very first time that I had ever heard about somebody having infertility issues was Michelle Obama and Gabrielle Union. I didn't know Michelle Obama used IVF to have her children, and then here comes Gabrielle Union in an Oprah interview, and she's just talking about the entire process. Now, at this time, I had already done IVF twice, and they didn't work out. So hearing her go through the exact same thing, going through all the injections, the procedures, the test, it really made me feel like wow, somebody, even a celebrity, can go through infertility, and I'm not the only one. But the one that hurt me the most, that really, God made a mark on my heart, was Chrissy Teigen. I admire her so much, and when she lost her baby, and she spoke her truth, that's what gave me the courage to speak mine, and not to be ashamed of it or keep it so private. One of the things that she put on her Instagram, and I'm paraphrasing, is that she was receiving so much support from strangers. People were giving her flowers, giving her little notes, and giving her words of encouragement. And one of the things that she was sad about was that there's another woman out there who's not going to be receiving this kind of love and support from total strangers. So she asked that everybody be kind when that woman wanted to come out and tell her story, and to allow her to. So Gabrielle and Michelle Obama let me know that I was worthy, and they let me know that I wasn't alone in this process. But Chrissy Teigen gave me the courage to actually document this and talk about it finally. So here's my story. My husband and I, after we got married, we found out we were pregnant. We actually found out we were pregnant 2 days before our wedding, and we were scared. We were so scared because I was 20, he was 22, and we were very young. I hadn't finished college. I really didn't know what I was going to do with my life at that point, and it was a very scary time. We only told our parents, or our mothers, and but after the wedding, I started getting a lot of cramping and pains. And when we went to the hospital, and also spotting. So we went to the hospital. I had an ectopic pregnancy. So they gave me some medication to kill the pregnancy. I think that's what it's called. But, and then that was it for me. So I was very young and I didn't understand what an ectopic was. And nor did the doctor really explain anything about an ectopic pregnancy. So an ectopic pregnancy is a pregnancy that grows in the fallopian tubes. It could be very fatal, and it's actually super painful. So it's really important that women monitor themselves, and if they have any spotting, call your doctor. Or if you have any pains, like not regular cramping, but excruciating pain, then I would seek medical attention, because if I hadn't, things would have gone really bad for me. But that first one, we really didn't, it hit us, but not so much. We realized that we weren't in a position to be parents. So we went on with our lives, and no one knew. I graduated from college and I got a job, and that conversation came back up, and my husband was like, okay, can we try to have a kid? And I was like, you know what, this is a good time, for us. So we did, and we had a child. We got pregnant really quickly. But the same thing happened. I was on my way to work one day, and I got super bad pain. I called my husband to come pick me up and take me to the hospital, but this time was very different. My fallopian tube was starting to burst. So as I was in the emergency, I had a doctor come in, kind of look at the ultrasound and say absolutely nothing to me. And then another doctor comes in, I'm guessing for a second opinion, and they say absolutely nothing to me. Before I know it, I have 5 nurses come in. One is getting an IV ready, the other one's drawing some blood, the other one's taking my clothes off and getting me into a gown, and the last one is asking my husband, what's my insurance? Do I have any allergies? Who's my emergency contact? And all of this was happening so quickly, I had to stop and ask, what is going on? The doctor told me, we have to take you into surgery, and we can't explain anything because we need to get you in there as quick as possible. So I let them do their job, but before I knew it, I was already under anesthesia, and I woke up with my mom in the room with me. That was the worst experience of my life. It was very traumatic. The whole experience was extremely traumatic, but this time it hurt more because we wanted it so bad. After that, it took me about 3 years to consider children again. But at least this time, the doctor did explain to me about ectopics and how if I had one, I was more than likely going to have another. But at this point, I only had one fallopian tube because my fallopian tube had to be removed. It was way too damaged. So us having children, we were going to have to go another route. But I never knew about IVF. I didn't even bother to do the research on anything because, like I said, I didn't want kids at that time. I didn't want kids for a while. It was something that I didn't really deal with. But as 3 years went by, Javon and I decided that maybe we should look into having kids. I thought I was finally ready to do all this again. So we were stationed at Fort Bragg and we went to the clinic. We did a whole bunch of tests and stuff like that. And they saw that my fallopian tube being removed and me having 2 ectopic pregnancies I was good for IVF. So we started to do the procedures. I took so many injections that I had like bruises on my tummy, and it was kind of painful. All of the stuff that you have to do prior to getting starting the injections, I had to have a hysteroscopy. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, so I had to do all that. They had to check my ovaries, they had to check my uterus, and all this stuff is just super, super painful. There's this one procedure that was the worst for me. It's something with the blue dye. So before IVF, I had to see whether or not my other fallopian tube was good enough. So we did something with a blue dye. I cannot remember the procedure for the life of me, but I remember the pain. So what the doctor does is sticks a catheter and into your uterus and then goes into your tube. But in the catheter, he has a needle that's going to inject a blue dye, and that blue dye is just going to go all through your fallopian tube, just to see if there's any impurities, I guess. But getting to the fallopian tube was the most painful thing ever. So that was painful. The balloon is painful as well. I know some of you women have probably already done this, but the balloon of checking your ovaries and stuff or whatever, that's super painful. But I did all this because I wanted a baby so bad, so I felt like all of this was going to be worth it in the end. Our first IVF, we only got 5 eggs. That was it. And they advised that I just not do this cycle and wait until next cycle. But I was stubborn and I didn't want to wait, so I went along with it. Of the 5, only 4 were fertilized, could be fertilized, and out of those 4, only 3 matured. So we put 1 egg and we froze the other 2. That first IVF cycle did not succeed. And again, I didn't deal with it. The only people that knew, again, of that IVF was just our close family. His mom, my mom, and I think just our siblings. That's about it. No one else knew. But I didn't deal with that either. I did cry, but I got back up and I went on a deployment and kind of just try to get over it. Now, when we got back from deployment, we decided to transfer the frozen embryos that we had left. And we were super excited because we figured this was going to be the one. It's this time. We are finally going to be parents. And we were already in North Carolina. I mean, we actually came to Virginia, and we were on our way to North Carolina for the procedure when we got the phone call from the doctor saying that the embryos didn't make it. After they were thawed, they weren't good embryos to transfer, both of them. So that was hard for me to deal with. And I wanted to give up on having kids at that moment. I wanted to give up so bad, and I didn't even want to think about ever having children again. I didn't even want to see kids, and it hurt me because at that point I didn't really understand. And I'm a religious person, but I have been tested, and part of me wanted to be angry at God, and really just I sat there and I asked him so many times, what did we do wrong in my entire life? Where did I go so wrong? I thought if I graduated college, if I graduated high school and went to college and got married and got our house and had a very successful career, then maybe God would bless us with a child. And that wasn't the case. So I sat there and God, I felt so many different emotions. And like I said, I wanted to give up on everything. Nothing mattered anymore. Nothing did. That is when the depression surfaced. It reached the surface and I had to go get help. I sought a counselor and on post. And I sat there in his office and he asked me what brought me in today. And it took me about 5 minutes to finally speak out because getting counseling in my world is not a thing we do. You kind of just deal with your problems on your own. So it was really hard for me to open up to a total stranger, especially when I could never open up to the people who around me who were my family and my really close friends. So yeah, I did. I opened up to him and I told him that I can't have kids and it kills me inside. And today, I don't feel that way. I don't. I have been going to counseling for almost 2 years now, and it is the most refreshing relief, the best thing that I could have ever done in my life. And I'm so glad I did. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason and that God knows our path. And I think that was part of my path. I needed to be mentally healthy for myself before I brought a child into this world, and I believe I'm there. I don't feel ashamed anymore that I can't have children naturally. I'm just as worthy as the woman next to me who has 5 or 6 of them. And I'm not alone, and I should not be embarrassed because of my journey. My journey is gonna be different than the woman next to me, but I love my journey. I absolutely love it. It's been difficult, it's been rough and painful, but it's also been beautiful. It has brought me and my husband closer together than we've ever been, and I'm so glad that I married that man and he is by my side to support me through all of this, because I don't think any other man would have been perfect for this position. And yeah, so here we are. It is Thursday. No, I'm sorry, it is Friday. here we are. It's Friday. It is the 29th of January, and tomorrow is our transfer day. Tomorrow we will be getting a little embryo into my uterus, and I have such a good feeling about this time around. It's not the same feeling. I feel happy, and I've also feel like if things don't go our way, I'm gonna be just fine. Because at the end of the day, if I have 4 or no kids at all, it's okay. I will be okay. So for the women who watch this video, if you are watching, I pray that God gives you exactly what you've been hoping for. I pray that He gives you a little bundle of joy that you can call your own. Even if it comes naturally through IVF or even through adoption. And even if it never does, you are just as worthy as any other woman, and you are going to be an amazing dog mom, because I am a dog mom and I love my pups so much. You are going to be an amazing auntie, because even our nieces and nephews need a second mom. And you are going to be an amazing friend, because you've been through a different experience than the rest of them, and you can offer more support than anybody else. So I ask you to be kind to yourself. I ask you to love yourself, and remember that you're not alone in this process. I hope you guys have a great day.
First time I seen you, I was thinking, man, she bad. In a good way, like the hood say. Spanish mamacita with a nice smile. Your looks knocking haters dead. Lights out, but that's just first impression.